I don't know, here again, over there, all over the place, everywhere. Part 2.
I love that.
You love that. Part that some of my fans love it too. Part 2, we were discussing the performance of the present administration in their first year. And when we ended off, we were talking about the health levy and so on. The promised supermarket prices did not drop.
No.
In fact, they went up.
Yes.
They went up, and there's been jobs are losing all over the place, both in the public and private sector.
That's correct.
Right? And they can't deny that. And then, in March of 2019, in the budget speech, a bomb was dropped when the bus fare was almost doubled. By 1.75, it almost doubled. Now, the South Coast Sewage Project.
Yes.
Well, Minister Abrahams appears to be doing his best, but I don't see him doing anything with the water problems in St. Thomas, St. Joseph, St. John, and St. Lucie. Right? I mean, it's not a new problem, but as I said, you said you were going to fix these things. But I don't see anything going on there. In fact, nothing has really been done with the South Coast Project, because I think the smell is still up there. I don't hear anyone complaining. All of those who were complaining before are not complaining now. Right? There were some plans for some desalination plants.
Okay.
Okay? That has been abandoned. Okay? They're buying water or whatever it is from some private entity who's going into the sea, desalinating the water and selling it to the government. Imagine that. The sea, the water.
Yes.
You have a private entity taking the water from the sea, desalinating it, and selling it to the present administration. Can you really imagine that?
Yeah.
Right?
It's hard to compute, but you have to deal with it because it is what it is.
The promise to combat violent crime is non-existent. There are more shootings and violent crime now more than ever. And they've undermined the present police commissioner by hiring a former commissioner to solve this issue. Which I think is an insult to Tyrone Griffiths, the present
Can I say something about crime in Barbados, if you will permit me? Crime on lower levels, as a spiritual person, nothing happens on a lower level unless it's happening at a higher level.
Yes.
Okay?
But I agree.
Okay. So we have to understand electricity flows from the greater source to the lower source. Okay? They say that water follows the path of least resistance. Okay? But we have to realize that nothing is happening on a lower level until something is happening on a higher level. You cannot see cherries on the ground unless there's cherries in the tree.
Yeah. They have to fall from there.
They got to fall from there.
Yeah.
This is what we're seeing. Unfortunately, in Barbados, this higher level of crime is manifesting itself without being checked.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
If it is checked, then things will change. But as long as there's no change
at the top,
source,
which is the top,
okay,
up there.
As long as there's no change at the source, there will be no change at the bottom. And this is what we're seeing in Barbados. Unfortunately, what we see as crime in Barbados is what's at the bottom. We never see what's going on at the top.
Yeah, never see what's going on at the top. Right? Like the Nation newspaper showing these guys going to court in handcuffs and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't see the real guys going to court in handcuffs, and you know who they are. Most people know who they are, actually. I mean, in that level, they know who they are.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the water problem, right? Mr. Abrahams, the minister, and so on, has been doing a lot with the sewage, but talking a lot, not doing a lot. Talk, just talk, right? But it's not even talking about the water problems, as I said, in St. Joseph, in St. John, in St. Thomas, and St. Lucie.
Right.
He's not even talking about that.
Okay. Can I say something about the water problems in Barbados? For those who are listening, let me say the water problems in Barbados, they were happening for a long time. Okay? I grew up in an area where the water problem was major. That's the Indian ground, rural Sedge Point.
But I can say this, not crossing you. Where I grew up, we never had a water problem.
Okay.
So
Right. Okay. But we had a water problem, even though there was a tank in that area. We had a water problem.
Meaning a reservoir or a tank?
A tank, which was a kind of a reservoir,
Yeah.
you know. But the reality is that during that time there were several what we would call standpipes in the area.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were able to subsidize the
But
lack of the flow.
they still have them around.
There's still many of them are still
Becoming
around.
obsolete though, but yeah.
Some has been removed, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the point that I want to make about the issue of water shortage in Barbados. Okay, there should never be a problem with water shortage in Barbados.
Why not?
And here's why I'm going to say this. There is too much water in Barbados for there to be a water shortage in Barbados.
Why? Because we're on coral?
No, not because we're on coral. There are too many springs in Barbados. I personally, as a boy, grew up in the Sedge Point area, and I know where at least 4 springs are.
But wasn't there spring somewhere in St. Andrew where the Rastas go up there?
Okay, that's one of the 4 where the Rastas would go. Okay, and I'm talking about water
continuously
flowing profusely,
24
hours a day. Look at St. Thomas at the Harrison's Cave. There's water flowing. There's a waterfall in the Harrison's Cave. Water is flowing 24 hours a day.
Continuously.
Non-stop.
On a bed.
Okay? Now, with the increase of what we call the high-end luxury real estate market, where there are more pools in Barbados. Okay?
Swimming pools.
Swimming pools, that's what I'm talking
with
about.
Chlorine.
Swimming pools.
With chlorine.
That uses water. There's a demand for more water in Barbados per parish now than ever before, which has led to the increase in this. Now, the other issue that we have is because of not wanting to lower water prices in Barbados, they continue with the old model. Okay? So they're not operating on volume and giving value for service. We're continuing an old, slow, outdated, antiquated service model to make sure we make top dollar from it, which is, in my opinion, Mr. Morris, is robbery.
Robbery. I agree. We talked about desalination. There were plans for that. They abandoned those plans. This present administration abandoned those plans and have decided instead to deal with a private entity who takes water from the sea or sea. He puts it through that same process and he sells it to you.
Okay, here we go back again to what we've been talking about over and over and over and over. There is if you look at this principle of having someone do that in your own country, you cannot even provide that for your own people, you have a problem. Okay? You have a real problem. You're talking about employment, and you're not willing to do those things to generate employment in your own country. To see, the thing is that if the government had built at least one desalination plant, it would have lowered, number one, the cost of water in Barbados significantly. Secondly, it would have rivaled the present desalination competition in Barbados.
Which has a monopoly.
Which is the problem in Barbados. Too many monopolies in Barbados. And this is what's contributing to the hardships in Barbados when we do not want to bring in any more competition. By now, Barbados, one television station, horrible.
Yeah.
Okay? At the same token, you're looking one desalination plant, one electrical energy provider, two cellular phone providers. So your country is being killed by your own government. And it's amazing to me how the average person who can see these things don't realize what's going on.
But actually talk about your phone, right? You couldn't see it there?
Yes, sir.
This is for John. John has been asking me about this phone. She sees you with the phone in her hand.
Yeah.
She's always still asking about you anyhow. But this is the phone, it's a Samsung. Not that we're advertising, you asked about it, right? So that's John from Oystins.
Right.
Here's it.
Yeah.
Right. You mentioned.
Well, because I while I'm speaking with you, I have my notes. I have notes that I have here. And,
yeah, but she's asking, said, what kind of phone you have? She's asking about you. She asks me all the time, right? Yeah. Now, you talk about desalination and they wanted to battle crime. They said they want to get rid of this crime. There's more shooting than ever now. I don't know how they're going to get it stopped. They've even undermined the police commissioner, Tyrone Griffith, by hiring the former commissioner of police. If he couldn't solve it before, I don't know if he can solve it now.
Okay. Well, again, the issue with crime in Barbados is that crime, like everything else, has a system. The mob had a system, whether it's the New York mob, the Philly mob, or whatever it is, ISIS has a system,
Yeah.
Al-Qaeda has a system of operation, and crime in Barbados has a system of operation. If you deal with the system that is presently in Barbados, then you'll be able to combat crime. These youngsters that are being charged for, spliffs and stuff like that, being sent out of the social arena. And then you have individuals who are doing a whole lot more than that, who are being released on bail. It's really not right. And so I think it's very important for a small developing state like Barbados for us to look critically at what are the sources for the high level of crime that we have on our island. And I think once we begin to look at that, we'll see more than we're opening our eyes enough to see. But there's a way that it can be dealt with.
Again, they said they were going to solve that problem too, but you have failed so far, and it's gotten worse. Like everything else, it's gone up. The IMF, as I said, there was some report in Britain, even in Britain, and they tried to cover it up here, that we are bankrupt. I don't know how true that is or how creditable that report is, but that was on the BBC News. And the BBC is a creditable source of information. Okay? Now, Apostle, it's been a pleasure having you here.
It's always been a pleasure sitting and talking to you, Mr. Morris. Always.
M.M Out There saying goodbye for now. Out, gone, out of here. Let's go.
Thank you, sir.
Right. I think we